Pray that God uses John 11:21. I don't know why that I've been challenged to go in this direction, but it is the direction the Lord has led us. I have no doubt about it. I'm going to say some things and I'm going to go over it quick. So if you jot down notes, jot them down quick. John 11:21, very familiar passage of Scripture. I'm not going to read the whole account. You know that they sent word to Jesus that the friend that he loved, Lazarus, was sick and dying. Jesus abode 2 days where he was at. And when he finally shows up, Martha has the courage to speak what's on her heart. She wasn't being disrespectful to the Lord. But in John 11:21, she says, Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Mark that verse. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou would ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus saith unto her, Thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that liveth and believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? I usually give a title right away. I'm going to wait to give the title of the sermon I'm preaching. Has it ever bothered you when you got in a place in your life where instead of heaven showing up, you felt like all the forces of hell was there? Does the silence of God ever trouble you? Times that you pray and you get no answer. She was saying, we ask and you didn't come. Now, if you would have been here, things would have been different. Now, I'm not doubting you, Lord. Even now I have faith that all things are possible. You have the power to raise them from the dead. But if thou hadst been here, my brother would not have died. The circumstance would have been different if only you would have been here. Can I mention to you, first of all, an unchallenged faith is the easiest thing in the world to take for granted. There's a reason why sometimes God waits to come to help us the way that we need help. Sometimes God has greater things in mind than what we're able to understand at that point. It's so easy to look to somebody and say, when they lose their job, just have faith in God as long as you've got a job. It's so easy to look at a preacher that's discouraged and say to them, just keep preaching and hold on. God will bless you when your church is doing fine. It's so easy to look to someone that is sick and pray the prayer of faith for them that God would heal them until you're sick yourself. Do you find it to be the case that it's harder to pray for your own healing than it is to pray for the healing of somebody else? Do you find it easier to witness to somebody else's unsaved child than your own unsaved child? Do you find it harder to somehow convince your own family to serve the Lord? It's a lot easier to preach to someone else. Do you find it easier to raise someone else's kids than your own kids? I used to be great at raising kids till I had my own. It's easy to sit on the pew and pastor the church. A lot easier than doing it. Boy, I am feeling God now. But sooner or later out there somehow, some way, your faith will be challenged. But you need to know this. An untested faith cannot be trusted. God doesn't allow us to be challenged in our faith to somehow determine in a measure that He has how much we love Him or how much faith. He doesn't do that to find out what we're made out of. He does that to let us see what what we're made out of. I used to watch those commercials on TV, and they'd take a suitcase and throw it in a cage with a gorilla, and he'd beat it against the walls and jump up and down on it. You know what they were saying? This suitcase has been trusted. You can test it. And it's trustworthy. We put it to the test. I used to watch those robotic arms open and close refrigerator doors hundreds of times. And they'll say, you can trust this product. It's been through the test. I've seen them take automobiles and drive them thousands of miles in the heat, in the desert, in the cold. And they'll say, this car will hold up. It's been through the test. What makes you think that God won't let you go through some stuff? And the truth of the matter is, even as preachers, we oftentimes don't know what our people are really made of until the test comes. But can I say this to you? I have put it to the test. And it works. No matter what. Until you have been there, you have no understanding. Job asked the question one time, if a man dies, shall he live again? What a test. He was dying. And he said, if a man dies, shall he live again? Now, you'll find out what kind of faith you have when God allows you to be put to that test. If we could get on a plane and fly to Egypt, there outside of Cairo, there is a valley called the Valley of the Kings. And if we ask that question in that valley where the pharaohs are buried, if a man dies, shall he live again? The only answer to that test they can give you is they'll say, listen to the howling wind and look at the sand that blows in your face. That's the only answer they have. We could fly a few miles east there to Sri Lanka and go to the Temple of the Tooth. That is the only known remaining part of Buddha, a tooth inside of a temple that thousands and thousands of people go to see a tooth. And we could ask the question, if a man dies, shall he live again? They'll say, look here, here's a tooth. We could go a few miles to Mecca, and there we'll see the shrine that every Muslim has to make a journey, a pilgrimage at least one time, and say, as we look at those going around in circles of the Kaaba to get to the place to touch the black stone, just outside the city is where the remains of Muhammad is believed to be buried. And we can say, let's put it to the test. If a man die, shall he live again? And they will say, here's a few bones. But I stood in South Point, Ohio last year, a year ago, after Roger had preached the funeral. And I stood there, and the same question was asked by the graveside. Lord, if a man dies, shall he live again? And I've been to the test, and here to tell you, my mind went back to Jerusalem, to the times that we entered inside of a tomb, and there were the words that were written, he is not here, he has risen, like he said. I'm telling you, put it to the test, it'll stand. Well, glory. I'm feeling better tonight.